Technically Edinburgh, the podcast for and about technicians at the University of Edinburgh. Welcome to part 2 of episode 7. Thank you so much for joining us. Just as a reminder, we are talking to Paul Strachan, Deputy Manager and NACWO of the BVS Aquatics facility. If you don't know what NACWO means, we recommend going back and listening to part 1, where Paul explains to us what he gets up to in his role in the aquatics facility. In the meantime, let's find out more about Paul's experiences of being a technician at the University of Edinburgh.
Let's talk about technician visibility and recognition and things like that. So you're working with researchers and technical staff. So you're in, and you're managing the team of technicians. Is that right?
Yeah, I help manage our team of techs that we have here. So I was a tech, so I know what they do. So I've been there, I've done it, so I understand.
Do you think that makes it easier?
I think so. I know the guys I work with are fantastic. They are a wonderful, dedicated team who look after our animals. I wouldn't have any other team. I've worked with loads of people, and this is probably the best team I've had, and I've had the pleasure of working with.
Thanks. Actually, I don't think we've actually worked together, have we? So that's fine. That's an okay statement for you to make.
Not properly, Charlie. I'm sure once if you ever join us, you will be included in that as well. I think visibility is slowly getting better for our technicians, especially for animal techs. But I think we are kind of forgotten about just slightly. I think probably aquatics takes more. People just think we go along, throw some food in the fish tanks, and that's it. That's our day done.
I wonder if there's a little bit of that in like animal technicians. I know when I first started, and I was very unsure about whether I was actually a technician, because I wasn't a bench technician doing things that I assumed a technician did, which I guess was pipetting stuff. I don't know what I thought, but I was very much like, oh no, I'm not really a technician. I look after fish. I just feed fish all day, which and yeah. So I wonder if there's a bit of that, is like we kind of feel slightly different, like our job is different, but the more I talk to different technicians everywhere, there is no this is what a technician is and this is what a technician does.
You've hit it on the head, Charlie. That's the thing. What we do as aquatics technicians is different from what a rodent technician would do. It'd be different from what the chemistry guys do. You couldn't plonk me down elsewhere and I would know what to be doing. Every single technician is specialized in what they do.
Oh yeah, there's no way I could go and do what you do, Imogen. Like no way at all. I could probably manage turning the computer on and then off at 5 o'clock, but that's probably it.
It's all following a wiring diagram. It's just following a map. Same thing.
So have you noticed then, you're saying that there is more technician and is more kind of recognition and visibility for technicians. Is that at Edinburgh or like in general across Scotland, or you think it's improved since you started?
It's definitely improved in Edinburgh since I started in 2018. I think we've become a little bit more recognised, and I don't know if that's for when our department changed, because we used to be Central Bio Research Services, and then we became Bio Veterinary Services. So I don't know, with the inclusion of other people into BVS as a whole has improved the visibility, but you see we are getting more visibility in what we do. And it's not just here. You talk to the guys over in Glasgow; they are definitely getting more visibility. I think England is probably a different case at the moment. I think they're a little bit slow to catch on. You talk to some of the guys. I've had the pleasure of talking to the guys at Sheffield recently, and they're a very small team, and they don't get as much recognition as they should for what they do. Again, you talk to the guys at Manchester. Again, had the pleasure of talking to them a couple of months ago, and they are getting a bit more recognition. They're getting a bit more visibility. So I think in Scotland, at least, it's getting better. I think we are setting the example for everyone else.
Mm-hmm. I think it depends very much, doesn't it, on which institution you're at, how big your institution is, how much communication you have between people. I think we're quite lucky here in that Scotland being quite small, we have quite a lot of communication between universities, and so. But I mean, there's definitely initiatives in England helping. I mean, the technician commitment is international.
But again, I think weirdly, Scotland is sort of leading the way in this one. I think Edinburgh are at the forefront and they are pushing this, which is fantastic. We know the guys at Glasgow, they're doing exactly the same. They're trying to push this as well, just to help us get a bit more recognition, a bit more visibility. And that's fantastic. If we're setting the way, let's hope everyone else follows.
Do you feel the university is supporting your career as a technician and making it easy for you to support your staff's careers as technicians?
I think it's a bit more challenging at the moment, but I think it's getting there. It is definitely getting there. Understandably, there are challenges across the whole university at the moment, and we totally understand that. But I think the more courses that we can offer, the more opportunities that come available within Edinburgh, so much the better. I think, some of the courses that we can enroll on, fantastic. It means we're topped up knowledges. I think from going to the conference back in September, I think there is need to have a better pathways just to see where people can develop. They can follow their pathway through to where they want to get to. I think BVS at the moment are looking into that. Some people don't want to be facility managers. They don't want to be deputies. Some of them want to be technical officers. People want to be trainers. And I think that is really, really important. I think BVS are starting to pick up on that, and they are trying to plan how we can sort of develop these other pathways, because starting as a technician to then work your way up to be a manager is not what some people want to do. They don't want to do that.
And even if they do want to do that, I think it sometimes can be quite difficult to see how to do that when you've got managers in place and they're not going anywhere. And we talked to someone recently who's saying, like, to be promoted, they had to move departments, they had to move schools, they had to move universities.
I think that's you're correct. I think that is something that is happening. I think people are moving around more just so they can find a career path. I think it's a lost opportunity to keep good people where they are. So I think departments as a whole, I would hope would develop these career pathways so people can see, right, if I do this, I can get to here, I can then get to there, I can then progress to where I want to be. Even if it's not a manager or something else like that, if they want to be into a training officer's role or a more specialized technical officer. So something along those lines. I think that if the more departments that do this, the more comparability that we have, the better.
I know you don't want to lose all the skills that you've that your team has gained while working with you, and that's part of the technician commitment is to look into ways of keeping that kind of sustaining that in the technical teams that we've got. So
again, my guys, myself, the technicians that we have here, we are so specialized. To bring someone new in and train them up takes months, if not years, to get to a place where you're confident with every single job, every single operation, every single process that we do. It can take a year or even more. So losing good people to a different department in the university, it's painstaking just to find someone new, to bring them in who's suitable, to then train them all the way back up. So the less people we lose, the more training that we offer, the more defined career pathways that we can offer to people so they can see where they're going, the better.
And hopefully we'll see some kind of more work on that happening over the next year or so with things going on behind the scenes. And maybe next Technician Week we'll be like, yeah, look at our amazing career plan that we've got for all of our technicians. Fingers crossed.
I hope so. I really hope so.
Given your background in marine conservation, how important do you think sustainability is in technical roles at the university?
I think it's key. Everyone has to have some knowledge of what we do and how we can save. So we're very lucky. We do the Lab Sustainability Awards, so we are actually part of that. Last time we got a bronze. So we know what we're doing is fantastic, but we can do more. There is a huge push to try and replace all the lighting in here to get onto LEDs, which are more eco-friendly, more sustainable on that side.
How to interrupt? Sorry. How was the process of the Sustainability Awards? As I guess, as a specialized animal facility?
It's tricky. It's very tricky because of, obviously we have to have PPE and all that, and we have lab goods as well. So once they're used, they can't be used for anything else. So things like single-use gloves have to go. So there's that sort of thing. But for us, the tanks maybe are a key thing here. We don't put the fish into one tank and that's it. The tank's gone. We reuse the tank. We clean the tank as best we can. We recycle as much office waste, paper waste that we can as well. You know, we have a water cooler down here. Everyone has their own water bottles. So we don't have too much plastic waste being produced down here. Any sort of deliveries, we try and reuse the boxes, the packing material as best we can as well. So if we have shipments going out, we can pack up, use old packing material and send that away. So we try our best to be as eco-friendly, as sustainable as we can, but it is challenging in an animal unit.
Yeah, you can't go home and turn everything off at 5 o'clock. Like,
no, definitely not.
The rooms are 26 degrees. Like, that has to be that all day. You can't just turn it off because everyone's gone home. Yeah, so it's something that like I'm quite interested in, and I just haven't been able to see a way forward with it.
For us, the lighting is one thing. Getting all our lighting changed onto something which is more sustainable is a big win for us. So obviously we operate it's a 14 light cycle, 14-10. So we have 14 hours of daylight, 10 hours of darkness. So can you imagine, we've got loads of tube fluorescent bulbs throughout the whole facility providing this light. If we change them over to something which is more eco, fantastic. All the doors, they're lined, so all the heat that is produced in that room stays in that room. So all the air handlers don't work as hard. All the heating doesn't work as hard. Any of the sort of workplaces like the office, our procedure rooms, they're kept at the cooler temperature, which is so the heating doesn't come on. So it stays at a comfortable temperature like that. We've got plenty of recycling bins as well. Obviously, we try and not print off as much as we do that we need. So we don't print off paper unless we absolutely have to. So all our processes, all our operations, our risk assessments, costs and stuff like that is electronic. So we have the bare minimum of paper. So again, we turn off all the PCs at night. Everything goes to standby, and we try and do it that way round. Being an animal unit, we need to have the life support running 24/7, 365 days a year. We can't turn it off. We turn it off, we have harm to our animals, so it's not possible.
We try and ask everybody if you could give advice to somebody looking to follow in your footsteps as a zebrafish technician or a aquatics technician. What advice would you give?
Just go for it. You know, if you work with fish or you want the experience, just do it. Apply. All the things that we do, you have to learn when you're here. You know, we can provide training. Once you're in. We will do the rest. We'll help you get to where you want to be. Don't be scared. You know, ask the questions. To ask what you can do. What can you do differently? Even if you want to move across onto what we do, just come and ask us. The door's always open with us. You know, the major things that we need are people who work hard. It's not just going around throwing a pinch of food into a tank. We feed all these tanks every single day, even over Christmas and New Year's. Someone is here. We're here at the weekends, so putting the time and the effort in is key. Having the ability to think on your feet sometimes is brilliant. You may see something and something's changed on that one, or something different happens completely, and you need to be able to think on your feet and pick up and run with it. But the best thing I can say is just try. At the end of the day, if you want to do this, apply. Doesn't have to be here. If you want to, same with the public aquarium side of things. If you want to go work in that side of things, get the experience. Just apply and keep trying, because as soon as you get your foot in the door, that is it. And that's probably the biggest problem, is just getting that first job, that first foot in the door. That is the hardest thing. You can do as many courses as you like, if you work hard, you're there. People will give you that.
What about like work experience and volunteering? Do you have that in your facility?
It's a bit tricky because of what we do. Obviously, being home office designated, we can offer it, but it's something that is a bit more tricky for us to offer out, unfortunately to say. The best thing, again, I can suggest is people just come and talk to us about what we do, understand the science, understand the fish, understand the biology. And that is probably one of the bigger things. Out externally, there are plenty of fantastic zoos and aquariums that offer volunteering programs. They will benefit you. So it doesn't have to be degrees, masters, PhDs in fish biology or anything like that. Hands-on experience is probably the biggest thing I can recommend to anybody going into this side of the field.
So come hang out with us, feed some fish, we're friendly, it's fine.
To a point, So work experience, again, within a home office setting is very tricky. It's got to be managed correctly. However, public aquarium side of things, there are loads of fantastic aquariums out there that offer this, and it's a good taster to what we do, not only in that side, but in the research side as well.
Fab. And that's good advice for anyone, really. Just whatever technician or technical role you're interested in, go for it. Just do it. So last question then. So looking back at your journey from aquarium work to moving into aquatics management in a more research academic setting, what's the most important lesson that you think you've learned as a technician?
Oh, there's been a few, I'll tell you that. I will admit that now. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Not only from talking to us other technicians, but talk to the researchers. We have an open door policy. We want to know what they're doing, so we understand why it's so important to their science that we look after these animals. I will quite happily go and talk to all our researchers here and say, "Hey, what you doing? What's going on? What's your next experiment? What's your next research avenue?" And we'll just talk about it. So be open and honest. Talk to everybody. Other thing, if you make a mistake, put your hand up. That's another big thing. If you've made a mistake, own it. I've made so many mistakes, and I've always owned up to them. You can't learn unless you put your hand up and say, "Yeah, I've made a mistake here."
That was me. I did that. I always found it quite, especially in places where there are people who've been there longer than you and stuff. If it's a really open and honest environment, someone's already made that mistake. And they know how to fix it or sort it, or so definitely, yeah.
Exactly, and that comes down to who's managing you as well. I'm so lucky that my manager is fantastic. I can put my hand up and say, "Yeah, I've made a mistake here, and we'll figure out what to do differently next time," or say, "What's these guys doing? I don't understand what this genetic line's doing." He will actually sit down and explain it. So having a fantastic team behind you, having good management as well, is absolutely crucial. And that's probably the biggest 3 lessons, well, 3 lessons really, I guess, that I can give to anybody.
So as a good advice there for researchers is keep your technicians in the loop.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's probably another key thing for researchers. Tell us what they're doing as well, so we understand why these fish are so important. If they're working on a cancer line, we want to know that so we can look after those fish, understand what might happen, and how that's going to get published out in the real world. So that's the end goal for all our researchers in here, is to get these experiments, all this research published. So in the wider world of biomedical science, we've got all these new discoveries, we've got all these new treatments, we've got all these new drugs, all these new procedures that benefit everybody.
Paul, is there any burning message you have that you want to get out that we haven't covered? Now is your chance. Now is the time.
Now is my chance. Well, fish are the future. Fish are fantastic, and you're not bribing me with a mermaid tail to actually say that, Charlie, as well. So, no, people shouldn't be scared of what we do. People just need me to accept that we have all these different things, and we do all this different research. We do wonderful things, and we look after our animals as best we can. Those are the big takeaways I must give you from this. People just need to understand that to do what they need for these medical upgrades, all these new drugs and all these new treatments, you can't just do it in computer. You can't. What works in a computer may not work in real life. Unfortunately, there is always going to be a need for this. There is always a need for animal research.
There are mechanisms in place to make sure that we are considering alternatives and that the standards of animal welfare are really high. The 3 R's. Paul, I'm sure we have listeners who have never heard of the 3 R's. Would you mind explaining a bit about what they are?
Obviously, 3 R's, we have replacement, we have refinement and reduction. So those are our key ones. Do you need to use that many animals? Can you refine the process? Can you do something else? Can you replace it with a less sentient animal or organism? Can you do it in a petri dish? And all 3 of those concepts have to be written into a project license before any work can go across, any work happens. Everything that happens in here has to be reviewed by our AWEB, our Animal Welfare and Ethics Review Board. It all has to go through that. It all has to be read. It all has to be signed off by the Home Office at the end of the day. Nothing can happen down here without the project license, trained people, and everything else that we need. All this law and legislation that protects not only the animals but us as well. So that's the thing people don't realize as well. We are governed. We are the most strictly governed probably industry in the country. You don't have this in public aquarium. You don't have this in zoos. We are under so much scrutiny for what we do in animal science that we have to be, and it's right that we are regulated and we are governed in the way that we are. Because if we put a foot wrong, there's welfare issues. Animals suffer, and we don't want that. We want good science. We want good welfare, and they're hand in hand. You can't have good welfare without good science, and you can't have good science without good welfare.
I feel like that is a great place to end. Thank you, Paul. That was so interesting hearing all about your work and what you get up to in the facility. Thank you so much for coming to talk to us.
Thanks a lot.
You're more than welcome, Charlie. Thank you very much, Imogen.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Technically Edinburgh.
Recognition and visibility are 2 of the key areas of the Technician Commitment, an initiative led by the UK Institute for Technical Skills and Strategy. It's so important to us that we make sure that technicians behind the research get the recognition and visibility that they deserve, and we hope this podcast is one small step towards that goal. Technically Edinburgh is hosted and edited and produced by members of the University of Edinburgh Technician Steering Committee. Please follow us and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Check us out on X at UOE Technicians, and don't forget to tell your friends and colleagues. Have us on obnoxiously loud in your lab so everyone can hear. Oh, and if you have any ideas for topics, would like to come along and chat with us, or even think you might like to have a go at hosting, please get in touch at technician.network@ed.ac.uk. Thanks again to our amazing guest, our brilliant co-hosts, and you for listening. See you next time.